Hey everyone! So, I really thought that the last video would be the last video about this, but we need to have a conversation about Ayato again because another person has reached out to me on TikTok about him. Um, they saw my video and it felt it helped them to feel empowered to reach out to me, which they had been nervous to speak about this situation. Um, And I'm gonna just go straight into this. The person has asked to keep anonymous, so I'm keeping them anonymous. But I'm just gonna go straight into reading this. Your trigger warnings, everything that applied to every other video about Ayato probably still applies to this one as well. Just keep in mind out, but you know, that's just the nature of situations like this. The person reached out to me and they said, "Hi, I just wanted to say I really appreciated the video about the awareness video you made. I met this person on English 1 hoping to be friends with them. We never talked about age, but they always assumed I was a male and wanted me to be their master and alpha male, and other weird stuff like that, and showing me 18 plus game to the point that I was genuinely disgusted, so I stopped talking to them until I saw them in a lot in friendly duos, and they would violate little girl players and brush it off as nothing. Thank you so much for the awareness video because I feel safer knowing they have finally been called out, and I'm so sorry they did that to you. I saw the video they made about you, and I think there's a level of being a fan to straight obsessing. It was kind of weird. Thank you so much, Queen." That was the opening message I got, and reading something like that, I I can't say I was like surprised, but there were definitely elements of this that shocked me a lot more than others. So I will be going into more detail probably on those elements because a lot of the elements in this situation are quite similar to V's situation. I'm not going to be bringing up V in reference to this situation or making comparisons. That's something you can do in your own free time if you want. These are two separate situations, but what I will talk about is the similarities and shared behaviors that both of these people had to experience. I do want you to pay attention to the fact that they never talked about age, because that is an important point for later. And this person, of course, mentioned they had screenshots. My first reaction was, what? If you're comfortable to reach out and talk, what the hell did I write? If you are comfortable to reach out and talk on this more, I knew V wasn't the only one because there's another too, but I will lose my mind over this man. What an abhorrent creature he is. I also figured it out from the defense his minor friend left on my long video. But I think it will be of benefit to have harder confirmation if you are comfortable with me telling your story. I also am sorry that this man reached you. And they would say, it's not really long. All I can say is I was wanting to midnight rank, but my team was asleep, so I met them in English 1, and he said, add for rank, and we can be best friends. And I was just desperate for a duo in rank at that time, so I said me and they were actually really nice at first, until we added each other on Discord. I have some screenshots and I engaged with him because I did feel bad, but I did not say anything to support his disgusting messages, mainly because I didn't know what those yaoi games were. But he just assumed that I was a male and kept asking if I could be his master, and he sent feet pics. And I don't know how to explain it, but like clothed nudes? Question mark? For anyone wondering what a clothed nude is, it's like suggestive photos, but you're still wearing clothes. You're not indecent technically, but the nature of it is indecent. If this makes sense, and I will be definitely explaining that more later. He sent a picture of his behind, which is his ass for anyone who wants it in a more vague expression, saying butt pics without even giving me warning or anything. Again, these are also clothed, so I can show them to you guys. I still have his messages, I think I can go look, but we never really talked about age, so I'm really sorry if this is kind of irrelevant, but I'm just glad this weirdo's finally being called out. I said no worries, but I'm kind of stuck in expression because I was. And by stuck in expression, what I meant was I couldn't shut my damn mouth because I was in that much shock. How this ever happened, this man is sick and twisted, and they said, I know, right? And I said, the reaction are awful here because none of them suit the severity, which is like the TikTok, like, reaction emojis. They're awful. I don't like them. I said that I'm so angry and I'm really sorry, and they said, yeah, I understand, and apologized to me, and I said, why? You're the one who had to deal with that? That guy I knew only as a fan. This need dealing with either way because I'm mildly responsible for these scumbag in my community. And they said, I understand you, but don't forget he's the one doing all this, not you. You didn't even know who he was until later. I hope he genuinely find help. And I said, we can only hope he will, but till then I'm going to keep giving everyone facts so they can protect themselves from this guy. That's the right thing to do. Is it okay to speak on Discord if you want to? And they said, yes, I have some screenshots I kind of want to send. I said, alright. I misspelled it, but this is alright. And they said that, they appreciate me. So that's our conversations on Discord. I mean, on TikTok. We would then, of course, move to Discord, where I'm in the wrong DMs. Hold on. I had to send the screenshots of the TikTok to myself so that I could have it all in one place, so I sent it to my alt account. Their messages started off, so I'm gonna gather them up. It'll be a second. I said, no worries, I have time, because I do. I have a full 24 hours. And then they sent the screenshots, and the text that they followed up with was, I was a fool at this time because I'm not very good. Because I was in not a very good state at the time, since I had to let go of someone, so I engaged with him for a bit, and then a few days later realized what was going on, so I unadded him. So these messages last over the course of just a few days. I know I'm wrong for having convo with him, and I deeply regret it, but I never once supported what he was talking about. You can see on the first screenshot, we were just talking about clothing stores and style, and then he suddenly sends me this, which is the clothed ass photo, which I am going to show to you guys because it's relevant. I mean, I could sit here and tell you that you have an awful idea of consent if you're sending this stuff to someone you met on an IDV chat who just wanted to play rank with you. But I think what I'm going to focus on instead is that you quite literally have just committed intimate harassment with a message like this. Sure, you are not indecent and exposed, but this is still enough to constitute. Because you didn't ask for consent. You can literally see that they are just trying to have a conversation about clothing, and then you just, I don't know, you just turn around in front of a mirror, crack your phone a little couple degrees and decide to take a photo. And then you decide, you look at it, obviously, because you look at it to approve, yes, this is the one I definitely want to send to someone I met for rank. And then, because somehow it hasn't yet fizzled in your head, the concept of asking, you still hit send to send this kind of image to someone you don't know the age of because you never asked. Do you have an answer for this one as well? Because thankfully, you gave me your age. Unthankfully, you lied about it. When I was speaking to the person who received these screenshots, they tell me, you guys never even talked about age, you never brought it up, and I put the responsibility on you, Ayato. You know why? Because you're the initiating party for every weird message that I have screenshot for. Every strange fucking message comes out of your mouth, so I'm going to hold you to account for exposing the other person to all of this stuff pretty much unconsensually. This person did not want a picture of your ass when they were just trying to talk about what stuff they usually wear. But you still sent it to them. Hence why I'm gonna hold you accountable for not asking about age. One, for not respecting consent. Two, you, as I keep telling you, you didn't even ask. And even if you did ask, I want to make a brief argument. You were not close with this person. I wouldn't have even bothered to ask. I would have, in your position, never have even attempted to try and send anything like that. This, you know? Because you were not close with this person. This person was not someone you've known for years or anything like that. You guys knew each other for a few days and you only met because you were in the public chat talking about, add me for a ranked teammate and we can be best friends. And this person, as they said, was just desperate for a duo. They were nice to you because you said some shit about, you were feeling down or whatever or something like that. So they were polite to you, but you took their politeness as closeness, is my guess as to why you are acting like this, but it's disgusting. You didn't ask for consent to send that type of image about your actual self. This is actually a picture of you. This is a genuine image of you. This is not stolen off the internet, and I can prove this by showing, because you took down a bunch of your videos on TikTok, I screenshotted some of them. And I can literally put these side by side. That is literally you. Like, same pants and everything, that is literally you. So you did not just steal this off the internet or anything. You literally sent this person a picture of your ass. And yes, you were clothed, but these type of images are still considered indecent for a reason. And the emojis are annoying me so much. What do you mean you're using fucking pray emoji and the, the shouting face? Like this is some cool announcement thing? No, you've literally just sexually harassed someone. And you're proud of it? I'm lost for words, Ayato. When I said that I was so very certain you were talking to other people, I was pretty damn right. Because look at this shit. Which is a shame, because V really thought that you were not talking to other people like this because you were normal in Discord servers that you both were in. But the more I uncover about this situation, there is at least 4 people currently who have been messaged inappropriately by you. 3 of which are basically confirmed. Your response that you made to me on my large video is about as rigid as wet paper. And I still don't even want to move on from this. You literally sent a picture of your ass to someone that you've known for like a day or two. You met them on IDV, they wanted to play rank with you, and this is the treatment you give them. Again, you didn't know their age first either. You could have been sending this shit to a 13-year-old. For all you know, and you were fine with that. Because you hit send. That doesn't sit comfortably with me, Ayato. I'm not comfortable with the thought that you might have been completely fine sending this shit to someone as young as 13. Thankfully, the person that you were sending this stuff to was not as young as that. Thankfully. But given your recent events with other people, it's very clear that age is not much of a boundary for you. Okay, so in relation to the last screenshot, I mentioned that he showed pictures of his ass. He also sent pictures of his feet. He was wearing socks, but that's not what I'm going to focus on. I'm not sitting here to say that this is like suggestive or anything, because it is just some damn feet. Some people are, that kind of nature. They do find this type of thing suggestive. That's not me. But what I am going to say is that I reached out to Aoi to ask what they would make of it, and they said that sharing like pictures of your feet is a common joke with people you know very well. Just dropping pictures of your feet to people that you have not known very well, you're not close friends with or anything like that, is really weird, and I'm in full agreement. Um I I feel a general sense that you just get way too comfortable with people way too quickly. Like, this was not something that the other person was really comfortable with when speaking to me, and I can show that on the screen now. The person was not very comfortable with you dropping these images of yourself just into chat, because again, they friended you because they wanted to play rank and such with you, and your conversations on IDV, according to this person, seemed normal, so they did not expect you ever to just start going this direction, And it did shock them, it did surprise them. And that's what our messages say, because I want to say I'm surprised. I think the thing that surprised me most is the actual photos of him that he sent to you. And they said, I know, right? I was so shocked and confused as to why he would randomly send that in the middle of a conversation. I said, yeah, it's a little strange to me. He was so open back then like this. And they agreed. And I say back then because after my video, he deleted all of his TikToks with his face and such. And they said, oh my god, yeah, I saw some of them, and it's weird that he deleted them right after you posted. But alas, here we are, and I have to talk about this stuff even more. I said that I'm losing my cool. You guys are just talking about clothes, and he sends a picture of his ass. And they said, what I'm saying, where in the world did we think to just do that? And I said, exactly, it makes me so sick because, again, this guy didn't ask her nothing, or even your age or permission to send. You know? Like, this was, like, mutual understanding between the pair of us. This was uncomfortable to both of us to just sit and look at, and I can't imagine how it must have felt at the time to be receiving that and having to reflect then therein after. And that's just the Discord messages, the messages from like what they send me on TikTok as well. But he just assumed that I was a male, kept asking if I can be his master, and he sent feet pics and, like, I don't know how to explain it, but like clothed nudes. This was not a comfortable thing for this person to be sent, and again, I have to sit here and talk about the lack of consent again, because it's kind of crazy to me that you send this stuff to someone that you've known for only a few days and you don't even ask them their age first, which, as I said earlier, thank god this person is not as young as some other people could have been in this situation. You know what I mean? Because had this person been like 15 or 13 or anything like that, God knows they possibly would have not had the awareness to understand this was bad. But this person was old enough to know that this was not good and was able to, after a few days of, talking to you, was able to leave on their own accord. Because this stuff isn't comfortable to be sent. It's not comfortable to be having a conversation and then just have someone send a picture of their ass to you. It's not comfortable to be, just minding your own business and then have feet pictures suddenly dropped on you. Even if it's not a sexual thing, you don't know this person. Some people are freaked out by feet pictures. Some people do find it to be erotic. Make sure you get to know the person you're speaking to before you just drop something like this on them, But the issue is that Ayato did not bother to ask first. Ayato did not bother to actually get to know the person he was talking to. Which is why I have to talk about this to say, hey, actually make sure you know the person that you're talking to is cool with being sent stuff like this. Because there are people out there who find this stuff disgusting, uncanny, scary even. So, just make sure you have that polite decency about you to respect, consent. I think I've said everything I need to for this segment. Let's move on to the next screenshot. So here's a brief callback to Yurichin B Club, where this screenshot is a perfect example of why I had to go into the context of Yurichin in my first video about Ayato. I will very, very briefly summarize all of the relevant context to this screenshot. Ayato Yuri is the vice president of the photo club. The photo club is not actually a normal photography club. It's actually a club where if you sign up, which the main character does accidentally, then you have to have intercourse with members of the school and teachers as well. And if you don't do this, then you get punished by being forced to have intercourse with presumably multiple people. That's the insinuation. There are, to my knowledge, no exit conditions because I only watched the first episode. I really was not lying when I said I'm not watching anymore. This screenshot right here is why I had to grab that context, both from my own experience watching it and from other people's experience as well. Because I'm gonna read these words out, but I'm going to go into a very swift summary. There's the picture. Ayato says he's a huge fan of him. I don't like his hobby, I just like his style, Nah, I don't watch dirty stuff, don't get me wrong. And ends it with lies. Ayato, I don't know how much of this statement you're lying about, whether it's like all of it, the last two lines, or the last line, but I'm going to assume it's the last two lines that you're lying about. I'm going to assume that your lies are about the last two lines, and I'm going to play it safe and say that you're probably lying about that. The thing is, this right here is why I needed to talk about the effects of Yurichin, because it is a very heavy boy love. It has some very heavy themes, and when you've got a man bringing this stuff up to anyone of any age, and in this screenshot right here, glorifying the man, it's a problem. This is why I had to talk about the context in such heavy graphic detail for everyone to have a full understanding of the depravity that does exist in this anime. Because you do have people like Ayato is right now, as I mentioned, going into messages with minors, with adults, with just about anyone he can get his hands on, it would seem to me, talking about this character in such a positive light, despite the fact that this character is literally vice president to a forced intercourse club. To put simply, if you know what I mean. So I have to bring this up again, only on that front. There is absolutely no distinguishing, there's no regard for the person you're telling any of this to, because again, you don't know the age of the person you're talking to right now, Ayato, when you're saying this stuff. As I said earlier, this could have been a 13-year-old, 14-year-old, 15-year-old again. And it is so lucky that this person was not any of those, because I think I would be even angrier than I already am. But going into the messages of anyone and bringing this stuff up casually, and that's something people said in my comments, is that they were acquainted with these type of materials and it's not appropriate to just be bringing up, like that. It's not appropriate to just talk about anywhere you go. Because they are heavy, they are traumatizing, especially to minors. You know, it's not for everyone, and you need to make sure that the person you are engaging it with actually wants to be part of that conversation. And it's, you know, this is just disgusting to me that you sit here and you have this man on such a high pedestal, despite the fact that he is such an awful man. Full stop. And there is no benefit of the doubt even for you, because I'm not gonna entertain the possibility that you did at some point in a different message that just hasn't been shown to me bring up Ayato's negative qualities, because the person told me they were not acquainted with any of the BLs that you were mentioning, which leads me to believe you gave the other person like no context at all while talking about this stuff, which is very dangerous. How do I have to say it again? If this was a child that you were giving absolutely no context to, and just mentioning that you really like this guy and he's got, you know, you like his style, and invoking curiosity in like a child over this material, like you kind of did indirectly with V by sending edits of this character to him. So yeah, that's all I've got to say on this front. For as horrible as it was to dig up all that context the first time, it's really useful now to be sitting here having it. Please don't message anyone about materials like this without making sure that they actually want to be part of this conversation, or are acquainted, or even of age, full stop, to be engaging in conversations like this. Again, this is another moment where you have breached consent, because I am 100% certain that you didn't ask. Because when have you ever asked? And this message, the screenshot looks like it just comes out of nowhere. And yeah, I have nothing more to say. This is disgusting. Let's look at the next screenshot now, which is actually two screenshots. I have to show you them together, kind of, but I'm gonna try show them one by one. So we're gonna start off with the calmer one. I was made aware, you're gonna notice immediately looking at this, there are some things that are quite recognizable. I was made aware that one of these characters is Till from Alien Stage. I don't care to speak on that. There's nothing relevant in terms of context here that matters, because it is just him sending a tweet. It's not like he's actually trying to start a conversation about it like he was with V. So all of these mentions here I don't need to really go into at all. So I'm not going to. They're not horrifically relevant. Anyway, let's actually focus on the material of the tweet. So the person says to not be sad, because this does look like a reaction image to me, but I don't know what it is. Ayato then follows it up, I hope I have no master. And the other person follows it up, I hope you find one. Which you could say, well, Max, why are they playing into that? You guys remember earlier how I was talking about how this person was trying to be sympathetic and understanding because Ayato was feeling upset? Yeah, this is that moment. Exactly. Ayato sends a picture of a guy crying, and this other person involved is just trying to be nice. But, you know, it made them quite uncomfortable, and you can tell that from our messages between me and them together. The next screenshot then is even more times that Ayato brings up the idea of alpha male or master. One of the key themes in the messages between these two is just this weird, like, roleplay stuff. I call it roleplay. I don't know if it's actually, like, roleplay. It looks like roleplay to me. Wanna be my alpha male looks like a roleplay. Me without an alpha male or master looks like an invitation for roleplay to me. Which I'm really concerned about because, again, at this stage, Ayato is initiating all of this and still has not even asked the age of the other person involved, nor has he given his own age yet. Which me and the other person were discussing this, and it was really disturbing to both of us. I'm gonna let you guys in on something. Okay? The other person involved, the reason why I'm hammering it in so hard that Ayato should have been asking age when he's initiating all this stuff is because the other person involved was an adult. Now, I've already told the adult that they should have also asked age, and that's something that they are quite remorseful about in my messages. I'm just trying to find the exact ones here. Exactly, and it makes me so sick because, again, this guy didn't ask or nothing, even your age or permission to read. And they said what I'm saying, I turned 18 5 days before that. I think I'm in the wrong for not asking his age, but I didn't think we would get into such topics, essentially, because I wasn't expecting us to add each other on Discord. I thought we would rank together, and that's all. And I said the responsibility is on him still, because he's initiating. Maybe you could have asked ages as well, but he should have too. When he's going into such, like, weird, not very appropriate topics. You know what I mean? Because this 18 plus stuff was not being brought up by the adult. It was being brought up with Ayato, who at this point in time, we do not know is an adult or a minor. So, for your own safety, my general guidance to you, for your own safety, you should have asked age. And please stick with me for just a minute more because I can explain even more my thoughts. I said that since he was the one putting the offer out for friends and playing, if he didn't ask with, like, you, he likely didn't ask with any others either, if this makes sense, which is true. My immediate thoughts were, if you didn't even ask this person, who was thankfully an adult, that's why I keep being so grateful they were, but I know you were also adding other people as well, because you added V, or V thought you added them through the public chat. They didn't even remember how you added them, but you added them somehow, and they thought it was through public chat as well. So I know, at least from that basis, and as well from what another commenter who claims to have had interaction with you has said to me, I know that you like to meet people through the global chat by asking people to add you for rank and stuff like that. So I know that you are just adding strangers and somehow ending up in weird DMs with them. Which is why I keep saying I'm so certain there are so many more victims, and why I keep saying that you need to ask age, because a lot of these situations that you get into are entirely on your own cause, if that makes sense, because how do I explain this well? You are, you've ended up on both sides now, if this makes sense, Ayato. You have ended up talking to a minor about inappropriate stuff and talking to an adult about inappropriate stuff that you didn't know was an adult, because that conversation was never brought up. If you were a minor at the time of these messages, you are so lucky that this adult is not a fucking weirdo, like you have turned out to be. Because they cut contact with you because you were being so weird starting messages like this. And this is part of the reason why I said in my other video that minors bringing this stuff up to other minors and stuff is dangerous, because you don't know the other person is actually a minor. You don't know that for certain. V did not know that for certain about you, that, you were actually a minor, and was horrified finding out that you told me you were older than what you told him. And now we have another person who, thank God, is a good moral being. But you need to be, like, I don't like to blame minors for being in these situations, but Ayato, this is repeated offenses now, where you have been inappropriate with strangers. That's the bottom line of it at this stage. Before, when it was just V, it was that you were inappropriately messaging someone who's 15. Now it is that you are inappropriately messaging strangers, full stop. Some of this stuff is intimate harassment to some degree. Some of this stuff is. Some of this stuff is you inappropriately messaging minors, as has been exposed multiple times now. And if you were a minor at the time of the messages between you and this other person, as I said, you are so lucky that this other person has a good heart and is not a pedophile, is not a creep or anything like that. Because, and this is spoken from my concern for you, not anything else. If this person was a creep, you would be in a much worse situation if you were a minor. It is such a lucky thing that this person is a decent human being. But there are so many weirdos out there with behaviors similar to yours who are not so kind, who are not so forgiving, who would have exploited you. So please don't take all of my concerns purely out of hatred. There is a part of me deep down that does worry for you. On the tiny basis that you are a minor, there is a small part of me that does genuinely have concern and worry for you. But ultimately, I still think that you are 1,010% in the wrong for bringing all of this stuff up to people you're not even asking the age of first. There's responsibility on the adults involved. Yes, I have already told the other person involved they probably should have asked. But there is responsibility on the person who is bringing up the inappropriate stuff as well, regardless of whether they're a minor or an adult. They shouldn't be bringing it up if they're a minor, but even if they are, they should at least, practice online safety. Make sure you're actually talking to people who are similar age of you, And part of the reason I make these videos is so that I can continue to, one, show what this negative behavior is, and to keep putting your name out there, because you are still probably doing this stuff today, because just the other day you defended this behavior. So I have to keep putting your name out there so that more people know about you. And for every new thing I discover, unfortunately, it will mean that I might have to make a new post about you. Because I want to educate on all of the horrible behaviors that can happen. The behaviors you show in this situation are vastly different to the ones you show when you were talking to V. And it might be because of the time difference. Like, these ones are from late 2024 in December. Your ones with V are from literally last month. Less than a month ago. No, would have started a month and 2 days ago. But ended less than a month ago. And the immediate things I'm noticing is, to some degree, you could argue you escalate a lot faster here because you started sending pictures of your actual self very quickly. But I'm going to make a counter argument to even that and say that you escalated a lot more with V based on the nature of what you were bringing up. You, to my knowledge, did not bring up anything to even the gravity of some of the boy loves you were bringing up to V, so I'm really thankful for that. You saved me a lot of time. But it kind of shows me then a really concerning and conflicting thing, that your behavior has worsened over time. It's not that you are blissfully unaware doing the same thing in every DM. You are actively having more extreme behavior over time. You might not be sending pictures of yourself anymore. I'm not sure if you did to V or not, and quite frankly, I don't care. But you know what you definitely weren't doing? You definitely weren't bringing up things like slow damage unprompted to this individual here. Ayato's behavior has gone worse through time, is what I'm trying to say as my summary. And this here again, I'm gonna say it again. This here is why I am going to continue to talk about this. Because this should have never happened. And I also want to show that Ayato has not gotten better since this stuff. This was only half a year ago, and you have visibly taken a worser turn when approaching messaging minors and such, which maybe is why you were so defensive of your messages with V, because you've been doing it for so long. You've been so used to not asking for ages, lying about your age, whatever the hell it may be. You've been so used to that for so long. It makes me wonder then why no one else has called you out yet. Why am I seemingly the first? Because if you've been doing this for so long and there are many other victims, as I'm sure there are and know there are, why has no one else said anything yet? I don't understand that part. I'm so glad, and I want to thank the other person involved in this situation for giving me permission to speak about your situation. I cannot express how sorry I am that you had to deal with this weird fucking, like, half roleplay shit with the master and alpha male stuff. I'm sorry that not V, I'm sorry that Ayato kind of assumed that you were a man throughout this entire ordeal. He didn't even have the decency to even check that aspect. I'm sorry that he didn't check your age. I'm sorry that you were exposed to material that you shouldn't have been exposed to. I'm really, really, really sorry that this guy sent you a picture of his ass unprompted. Um, I'm really, again, I'm really sorry he never asked your permission to do any of this. You'll know that my message with you still stands, that you should have probably asked as the adult in this situation, but also I understand you when you say that you never expected this guy to be like this, because in our messages, it's very clear, and V says it as well. V said it as well. You guys were normal on IDV. You go to Discord, this guy gets comfortable, and he starts to become a total weirdo. So I do sympathize with you, and I'm firmly on the belief that you are not a weirdo like he is, and you're not a creep, and I really don't want people to criticize you as such. You did the responsible thing, in my opinion, which is that you did leave when you saw the situation for what it was. So on that basis, I'm really proud of you, and I'm really grateful that you did do all of this. I'm so sorry that it took this long for someone to call this guy out, but I'm really grateful that now you can feel empowered to let me speak on your story as well, and I hope I have done a good job. Really, thank you so much for letting me talk about this, and I hope you are doing well. Oh, I'm sorry. Did I almost forget something? Hey, so in this person's message, they said that they stopped talking to you, but still managed, from what I can understand, still managed to run into you in friendly duos where you would be violating the little girl players and playing it off as nothing. The exact words I will read to you as followed. I was genuinely disgusted, so I stopped talking to them until I saw them in a lot in friendly duos, and they would violate little girl players and brush it off as nothing. Hey, Ayato, I hope you're watching this. Is this another one of your jokes? Like how you mentioned from your response video to my much larger video about you? The thing is, I want to sit here and say, well, technically I've got no evidence, therefore I shouldn't believe it, but Ayato, I would be lying, however, if I said that I didn't believe this. Because I do. I believe it 100%. It is entirely in your nature. For fuck's sake, I made a 2.5 hour video about you talking to little kids inappropriately, and you said that it's okay because everything you did send inappropriate stuff to minors, but it was a joke. So, unfortunately, I am inclined to agree 100%. You probably did violate little girl players in Duo Hunters friendly. because it was part of your joke, and I do believe it's in your nature to write it off as nothing, because that's exactly what you did with V's situation. And if you see this and have any bravery to reply, you're probably going to do it again. So, to my misfortune, I have to address this. The common sense being, I don't know how old little girl is, but to me she looks about 5, and she doesn't look much older than that. I think... Is there a confirmed age for memory? I should literally look this up right now. She's about 6 or 7. Described in Orpheus Game Chapter 3. By Orpheus. So... what are we doing now? We are talking to actual minors as a joke. We are violating players who are using minor characters of the age of 6 and 7 as a joke. Where does it end with you, Ayato? Because I feel very strongly that you are the only one who laughs at this type of stuff. You know what I mean? And it's really funny because I tried to look actually into it, like on platforms, because I remember there was videos on like TikTok and stuff where other players were calling out this behavior, and either I was going to find one with your name on it, or I was going to find one to use it as an example of just how funny this little joke of yours is, in the sense that absolutely no one is laughing but you, again, because other players genuinely sit there, take their time to record the matches, record the post-match or whatever else, and they post it to call it out because it's just so funny. It's not funny. Let me break the sarcasm. It's not funny. Ayato, no one laughs at it but you. It's not even not that serious either, and all I'm learning about you is that you really, really don't care about the age of people at all. You don't care. You are like an animal in that sense. You do not care about age. And I don't care that I'm speaking so seriously about a piece of fiction or a character in fiction, because it don't matter that I am dogging on you for the fact that it doesn't matter that I am furious at you over the things you do to fictional characters in a game when you are doing similar shit to real life children. So what can I say in your defense, Ayato? Is there anything at all that I can say? Aside from trying to, I don't know, give charity work to your crappy humor? Yeah, I didn't think I was going to forget about this segment until I recorded everything else and I realized, hey, there's something missing in my video. Oh, right. Yeah, all the stuff about little girls. Well, here you go. Here's that segment. So even with everything else aside, with the other person in the situation thankfully being an adult who is not endorsing or engaging with your bullshit, thankfully not... God, how do I put this? I'm so glad this situation is between you and an adult who did not engage with you. Imagine if this was another situation where you were talking to a minor. Imagine if this was a situation where you were talking with a creepy fuck-ass adult. You got the best case scenario in your favor. Arguably, in terms of your safety. And it angers me so much. This should have never happened. This never should have happened. But what has me fuming is that you never changed and you never learned from this. You think with all the people that stop being friends with you after quite a short amount of time that you would catch on that maybe you're the problem. But you never do. ever. And that's what has really bugged me start to end about this entire situation. You never seem to learn. It's like you are a walking episode of South Park. The next episode starts and it's literally like nothing ever happened the day before. And I don't understand that, Ayato. I don't understand how you can be doing such monstrous shit and just live the next day normally. I don't get that. Whatever. God. I'm not entertaining this specific segment anymore. My stance is very firm. Doing this even to players who are using said fictional character is a disgusting thing to me. I cannot say this with enough emphasis when I say do not even leave a comment. I tried to warn you last time. You didn't listen. And then you made the most dumb response I've ever seen to allegations of this nature. And you got a 1-hour video of me tearing apart your response while also giving some of the additional information that I couldn't give about you before because I didn't have enough runtime in my video to do it. Something that would have never happened if you just stayed quiet. Because Sai had already given that information, but not many people saw Sai's video. A lot of people saw mine though. And a lot of people are going to continue to see mine. That's just the nature of me being a larger channel than Sai. For your own good, Ayato, just stop engaging with me. Stop engaging with my community. You have already purged your TikTok of any personal videos, which I think was a pretty good idea. I urge you to stay away from any platform spaces with minors involved, because you're not safe around them. You've proven that. You had these interactions, and the point of this video is not that there was an adult involved. The point of this video is Ayato went through the entire conversations with this person, never knowing that they were an adult or that they could have been a minor. Ayato didn't care for either of those possibilities, or he would have asked. And something Sai pointed out to me recently that I will use this video to discuss is the possibility, and this unfortunately does go back to V's situation, but it will make sense under this situation too. Sai mentioned to me how you asked V for his age very quickly, or rather you started that conversation very fast. That's one of the things that kind of surprised me when I found out about this situation where you didn't even ask at all start to finish. Something Sai mentioned to me is that she's concerned, thinking that you were asking V's age so you could make sure that you were talking to a minor before unloading all of that stuff. And Sai is not the only person to have concerns like that, by the way. Other commenters under my videos, some of my mutuals and friends who have reached out to share support for this situation, have all said they think you asked V for his age because you wanted to make sure he was a minor. I don't know how true that is, but seeing the differences between these two situations, what else can I possibly infer? Could I say that in this situation you were forgetful? No, because you were so enthusiastic to keep bringing up these weird terms in roleplay, to keep mentioning about various things that you shouldn't have done, to send pictures of yourself unwarranted, all without a single shred of consent. What I'm thinking then, as part of your development from then and now, is that you have learned over time to make sure that the people you're talking to are minors. Not to make sure that they're adults, but to make sure they are minors, specifically so you can get away with having these inappropriate conversations. I think that is also then why you were so shocked to see that I made a call-out video. after finding out what you did. I think that's why you were so fucking rude to V. I think that's why your response sucked, because you never prepared for the possibility that this shit would come to light. That's my thoughts. I don't think you are as naive as a small minority have been telling me. I strongly believe you know what you are doing, that you do this with intent, and this situation, if you had any naivety, it would have been during this situation where you were categorically half a year younger, at least, than what you are now. We don't know what you are now, but, you know, categorically speaking, you were younger during this situation. So if there was any naivety, it would have been here. But even here, you are still enthusiastically bringing up stuff that you shouldn't be bringing up with strangers. You are still deflecting topics in the way that you did and probably continue to do half a year later. But those are my thoughts personally. I hope I have handled this situation in the way that you wanted me to. Thank you so much again for reaching out to me, and I hope my words can help other people to realize what, again, negative communication looks like. No one should be messaging you in these types of ways. Strangers, whether you met them for a day or two, it's not normal for conversations to progress this quickly. Do you understand me? So I urge everyone to please take care of yourselves, because it is a dangerous world out there with dangerous people who do not care about. There are some people out there who do not care about you, who do not care about anyone else but themselves. Please be careful. If this guy adds you, unadd him. If this guy tries to add you again, block him. Block him the first time if you want to. This is just my protocol. If he's in a server with you, either leave the server or try to report him. Because he's not a safe individual. He messaged minors, he messaged strangers that he doesn't even know the age of like this. And as I said earlier, it's lucky that this person was a sensible adult, but this could have easily been a minor again, like last time, or it could have been with a not sensible adult, and then Ayato would have been in much danger. So this person is not safe to other people, this person is not safe to themselves. Please, be careful, everyone else out there, when interacting with a guy like this. Thank you very much, and I hope this video is, again, informative. Thank you. Goodbye, everyone.